Most of crypto Twitter seems to assume that people are idiots that have a ton of knowledge, which is actually the most inverse thing you could possibly want to do. I think it's wrong to treat people like idiots and they also have to know everything.
Most of us are just trying to buy food, and maybe that involves going to a dealership to get a new car, which everyone already hates. Is a terrible experience. And then imagine you went and did that, and as you sat down to test drive it, the dude was just like, all right, let me talk to you about the difference between a 4-cylinder engine and a 6-cylinder engine, why 2 turbos might be better than 1, but maybe it's overkill for that. No one cares. But that is exactly how we are advertising everything crypto to literally every person that has ever become even lightly interested in it. And it's insane.
I think the thing I messed up is we needed someone with the access to an OnlyFans account at some point. And so David onboarded, but now he's famous and he's going to spread his attention too thin.
Yeah, long beef.
Long beef.
That's
right.
Everyone, welcome to the Rubicon podcast. Very excited. And we'll see if Will joins us or not, but to have Evan and Alex from the Rise Up Morning Show, I'm very excited to have you guys on. Excuse me, for a couple of reasons, but mostly for me, I'm a TikTok degenerate, and that's where I found you guys. And for my money and my impression of you and why you're important, you guys are sort of spreading the gospel or evangelizing or teaching, whatever sort of phrase you want to use, out beyond crypto Twitter. And that got me really excited. And then I started joining the shows. I started hearing about you guys talk. You have some incredible pinned content. You're talking about, learning the basics of it. But that's why you're here. I think there's a lot of lessons for people to learn about. There are big ideas in crypto that we've talked about on this show. On the technical side, we've definitely talked about the investing side, but I'm the go-to-market guy. I love my distribution, and I feel like, as we were talking about earlier, there's some incredible brands and incredible people out there building. And this is not a muscle or a skill set they really have. And I think it's clear from the following and the execution and the grit of hanging in there and doing it day in, day out that you guys do, that you have that. So I'm hoping to put some more of that out there. But beyond that, Evan, if you want to give just a couple sentences on who you are and how you got here, and then we'll pass to Alex next, and we'll get to Hirsch's spicy question immediately afterwards.
Hey, everybody. My name is Evan, and I'm a co-founder of Rise Up Media, and we are the most trusted source for live crypto education on the internet. Everybody's heard about crypto, but they don't trust it. They heard about it through Mt. Gox, FTX. They've heard about the volatility, the scams, the schemes. Maybe they've lost some money themselves, or as Alex said, they've never heard of this stuff before. And the people who are speaking about it, the loudest voices, are not always the most helpful. So we have cultivated a platform that shares helpful news, commentary, answers to people's crypto questions, kind of like Car Talk, that great NPR show with the mechanics, but make it crypto. And it's a whole platform where people discover this live show. They come watch our recorded content. They can engage with real people in the context of a community, as much of a buzzword as that is, where they can share what they know, learn, grow, and we say, rise up. We teach them to become safe, confident crypto users, what blockchain actually is, why it might matter to them personally. And that's because I believe the most important thing anybody in crypto can do right now, because the product's good. The product's not XRP or this new DeFi wrapper. The product is crypto, cryptography, private keys, etc. It's good. The most important thing we can do is tell a better story. And that's up to all of us. So I'm excited to talk about it today.
Love that. Alex, tell me a little bit about your role and what you're up to here.
My name is Alex. I am also a co-founder of Rise Up Media and many other failed businesses before this one. I've been in and around Web3 for almost 9 years now, which is crazy to say. But there you go. And the thing that brought me here is the reason that I've stayed here, which is just I can't shake the feeling that this is one of the most important things to be created and used in my lifetime, certainly. And I think for a pretty significant amount of time. And I just wanted to be a part of it. I think, like we were saying before we got started, teaching is really the thing that's going to make this achieve any amount of, we like to say mass adoption. And I always say we need to get to mild interest before we get to mass adoption first. And so I'm working on that part right now. And teaching is like in my blood. It's what I do. My parents were both retired professors. I was a teacher before I joined the military. And then when I was in the military, I was an instructor for most of the time there. And now this is what I do. I create educational content. And I'm fortunate enough to get to do it with Evan, who is just ludicrously talented. And I like to say that I I ride Evan's coattails for a living, and I'm going to keep doing that as long as humanly possible. So I'm stoked to be here.
Love it. I'm writing Hirsch's for whatever that's worth. So it's
Perfect.
clear who's who on the podcast. We'll see if Will feels the same. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I
Appreciate
do
you guys
have
being here.
confirmation from Will that he can join, and
He's on his way.
there might be a dolphin suit. So I've let him know we're starting
man.
the conversation and to just wait, but you'll have a treat.
I love it. Well, I don't want to waste time. I want to make sure we get as much out of you guys as possible, selfishly, because there's so much to talk about. There's so many things happening in general, but also, like I said, with the distribution and figuring out how to let's call it getting to mild interest, especially for folks. My father knows what I do, and by knows what I do, I mean he's convinced I'm a criminal. So that's if we can get past that, I think that'll be fun. Hirsch, what's your banger question to start off this whole thing?
Yeah. So I want you to pretend like I'm the CMO of some crypto project that's about to do a TGE or recently launched a token. I come across you guys, and this is the context for the conversation. I'm like, I want you guys to talk about my project, but I want to give out free money in the form of our token to your viewers. How would you handle that?
Honestly, I probably wouldn't answer the email, or I'd say, thanks so much. We really appreciate it. We don't work like that. If you want to work with us, this is how we work. And this is why, because it's better for our customers, audience members, you, us. We want you to feel good about spending money if you're going to do it. So
Yeah,
I don't
but
know.
I don't
How would you do
understand. I look at crypto Twitter all day, and I just hear creators want content coins. Help me understand why financializing content engagement doesn't make any sense. This is the only tool we have in crypto.
So I agree with Evan. If the message that I got was, we just launched a token and we'd like to give it away to your audience, I would not answer you. And if the email that I got was, we're about to launch a token and I want to give it away to your audience, my reply would be, you probably shouldn't, but I would be interested in talking to you about why you think you should and what else you could do instead. And that really just comes from this observation and belief that I have, that we have entirely too many tokens and not enough things to do with the ones that exist. And we, I think, should take a quick pause from TGEing new tokens that don't need to exist and take the ones that do exist and make them more valuable or add more things that can be done with them. And that's not to say that more tokens shouldn't exist in the future, because I believe that we should be creating all kinds of different sorts of tokens for all sorts of different things. But I think that we're way too willy-nilly about it. And instead of just launching, a bajillion, squillion more of these things, because how many do we have now? With the last bull run, we had 25,000. Now we have 25 million. It's insane. It must be stopped. There's got to be a better way. So that would be probably how I would initially respond. If I was given the opportunity to have the conversation with you about why I think you shouldn't, then what I said after that would probably be how we would have the conversation, that I think you could do so much cool stuff for people without launching a token that would make the token you did eventually launch 1,000 times more impactful. And fun fact that we can come back to later if we have time, that is how I lost my first investment, was by refusing to launch a token until I had established more of a reason to make one. And that was not what they wanted to hear. And I lost a shitload of money doing it that way.
Can I really quickly add the opposite question answer, which is who reaches out to us and what does it look like when we're excited to hear from that CMO, and what kind of crypto marketing CMO could you be if you want to get the golden goose? So I'll give you an example. David DeWoofy listens to the show, and he reached out to me personally and was like, dude, love what you do. And I want to get to know you better. I work at Opacity, and this is what we're building, and I would love to talk about it. And I was like, okay, first of all, this is a killer product. Second of all, you got killer vibes. Flattery will get you far. But it was, sincere. We clicked, we connected. It was human. We met in person at Consensus. This brother made time in his busy schedule to find where I was going to be, dealt with a little rescheduling, met us, and it was really proof in the pudding that here's a guy who's serious about what he's building. He's serious about us. He understands the value of our platform. He knows we're not just here to sell content one-off. He understands that it's about long-term trust, relationship building, and it starts with us on the inside. And then we can welcome people into it and do more together than we could alone. I just think that's the kind of client that we like to, I'm wearing a Polygon shirt, not to make a commercial on your show, but like we partner with people like them because they're doing real stuff that is going to matter, that I can have a conversation with in Kroger about like, oh, you can use cryptocurrency. You don't have to stand in this Western Union line. They're not open today. Check this out. We've got the internet right now. See how easy that was? See how cheap it is? Yeah. What questions do you have?
To that point, having that conversation with people about literally anything that doesn't have to do with telling them why one cryptocurrency versus another is like a better addition to their portfolio is the best way that you can introduce somebody new to something. Because every single conversation I've ever had with someone either brand new or mostly new to the idea usually involves them asking me a question about, isn't crypto a scam? And then I can say like, yeah, most of it, but like, here's one of the things that's kind of neat. And then we could talk about ZK or privacy or data sovereignty or something. And it can lead to so many different kinds of conversations than I could ever have about problems that people genuinely experience, that they are genuinely curious to learn a solution to, that doesn't have to involve me trying ham-handedly to sell you a Ponzi scheme that you really don't want to be a part of,
Yeah, I feel that pretty deeply. One of the funniest, one of the sort of taglines that I use, and I don't know if I've told you this, guys, but Hirsch has heard me say it a couple times. Like, people are like, how do you onboard people to crypto? How do you onboard people to Web3? I'm like, well, you wouldn't onboard someone to the internet all at once, right? Like, this is like a dumb idea, right? Like, you trying to find your friends, like, try out Instagram. You like pictures, try out Instagram, right? You a big sports guy, like, look, you can do DraftKings, right? Like, things that are interesting to people for their interests, and like, oh, cool, I can do that on the internet. I'm used to having to handwrite letters, and like, it's nice to be able to email someone, right? Like, that's sort of the crux of what it was in the past. It's become such a we've almost taken for granted at this point the ease of which we can publish content and like connect with our friends or whatever it may be. And I'm not seeing there's not downsides to brain rot. I'm experiencing them firsthand. But this idea that like someone needs to do all of crypto at once, or that one project is like the TAM is the entire world, like, is absolutely fucking bonkers to me, right? It's like nothing in the history of everything has ever been for everyone, right? Like, it just doesn't work that way. So to like learn people's interests and see what's interesting, like, I think that's the crux. I think you guys get at that a lot, right? I think that's one of the reasons when I watched your show, like, that was one of the interesting things. And even though it's a crypto community, right, and I do want to talk more about like your community and sort of what that means to you guys, it's always sort of from the angle of like, is this helpful, is this useful? And it is fun to watch you guys disagree on what's helpful and useful sometimes on the show, but the community has like, I've always felt that the community around the Rise Up show is less about like trying to figure out what's the usefulness of blob space to an engineer, and more about like, why is this thing interesting to someone who's hearing about it for the first time. But I'm curious to your thoughts on your community, what it looks like, and like what you've done to build it, and what's actually happening inside the community today. That's fun.
Can I rug you a little to say, Alex has this saying that I love, and I steal it all the time, that you don't have to be a mechanic to drive a car to the grocery store. And I bet you even know 2 or 3 things that would make a good car if you needed to buy one or inspect one. And that's like the community of people that we have. Most of them are like what I would call a level 0 or 1 user, somebody who's curious, concerned, or just trying to learn about cryptocurrency or using it, deepening their use of it and understanding of what it can be. And safe, confident users. And we also have a lot of builders. We have a lot of people who work here who recognize that we have sort of the depth and experience, or speak to the people who do and aren't afraid to say, I'm learning this still, or I've never heard of this, I don't know it. That's the kind of community we've cultivated, people at all levels of experience. And I think that's really special about Web3 generally. Like, at its best, it is. Humanity, communities at their best are an amalgam of people who share a similar interest but are different. And it helps them realize all the ways that they are the same because they have a container to interact together. And like I said, we try to create free educational resources in any format people might want to consume to learn. But the anchor of it all is relationship. And we're working on ways to expand that experience. We're building out we use Discord like everybody. It's great and fine, and we're natives, but we're building out a circle community, which will be much safer and easier to use and do more stuff with. An expanding network of live classes. We want to start a cohort model similar to what our friends at, Myosin or Shifi or Safari Club have done. And give people a solution at every level for how they can deepen their involvement. Do they want to do like Hirsch and take more swings at the bat with content creators? Great, we can do that. We can help you get in touch with funding for your startup. People who are, we have William Quigley on the show all the time. He's a venture capitalist, co-founder of Tether, Wax, super cool guy, knows a lot of it. Connecting those people is like what the community is. And like I said, we've been doing this for a minute. So we've learned a lot from the people who've stuck with us along the way.
Yeah, I think the mechanics analogy it's kind of silly when you break it down, just because most of us are just trying to buy food, and maybe that involves going to a dealership to get a new car, which everyone already hates. Is a terrible experience. And then imagine like you went and did that, and as you like sat down to test drive it, the dude was just like, all right, let me talk to you about the difference between a 4-cylinder engine and a 6-cylinder engine, why 2 turbos might be better than 1, but maybe it's overkill for like, no one cares. Maybe give me a brochure, I'll pretend to read it and vaguely pretend to understand it, but like at the end of the day, that's not what I care about. But that is exactly how we are advertising everything crypto to literally every person that has ever become even lightly interested in it. And it's insane. It makes absolutely no sense. And for some reason, here we are years deep and we're like, no, I think we just need to get more technical.
More gambling. more gambling.
Yeah, more Ponzi schemes and more jargon. And I think we're really close to cracking this nut. So that's my favorite part, is just being able to have conversations with people who feel like they have found a place where they can ask a question that maybe the other 2 times that they've tried to ask it, it's been met with either ridicule or like, no, that's dumb, or just like, I actually don't know. And I'm going to pontificate at you for a little while about something that I would rather talk to you about, like this other cryptocurrency that's paying me or something. And that was really it. It was, we were creating a place where we could go ask the things that we actually wanted to learn about. So like today's episode of the show was basically all about art and how to put it on chain if you wanted to protect the art that you were making, and managed to do it without having to sell someone the idea of giving utility to a JPEG led Ponzi scheme. And so that's my favorite part about, like how we frame the conversations that have brought the people that we have to the same place.
I'd be curious to learn more about like what, like you mentioned before, talking about privacy or ZK or even like art, as you just mentioned. What do you find is actually interesting to people who have never heard of crypto and are just like finding it for the first time? What piques their interest?
I love this one because privacy and like data autonomy and security is actually, I would say it's probably the most common problem that we find people looking for a solution to. And so, and it's one that comes attached with a lot of very real, very tangible fear that's usually grounded in very specific examples about a time that it went poorly for you, that your data was compromised, that you had your identity stolen, that you got hacked, that something was stolen from you or anything. And then again, not to belabor the point, but we're currently meeting that with, let me talk to you about ZK. And it's like, holy shit. No, we'll get there in a minute. Let's not start with the PhD. Let's go to kindergarten first. And that's why I think Evan McMullen was probably the first person that we had on to talk kind of about ZK more broadly. And, I think the example we used was probably one of the more classic adages for ZK, relationship drawing at first, which was just like, you don't want to give your ID with all of your home address and all this other stuff to a guy that just needs to know how old you are. How can we fix that problem? And so like, that's a really good way to start having that conversation, just because that's literally, it's like privacy and security is probably the most common concern that we deal with on a regular basis, how to protect what you have. And so usually just being able to have the conversation about the way that you can use different kinds of encryption and different kinds of security and different kinds of programs that can enhance your security. Maybe that's one cool thing about a blockchain, is that if something does get stolen, it's much easier to track where it went after it left, your place. That can make forensic accounting more easily. There's a million different directions you could take that conversation. But I think ZK is like one of the best. It just happens to be hidden behind the most tech heavy jargon and nonsense about like anything else in the entire industry, unfortunately.
Can I just quickly add, that's why doing it live is so helpful too, because you get real-time feedback from real users and you ask it in an engaging way. You say, imagine you were in a bar and you had to show somebody your driver's license, your passport with your full legal name, your address, your age, all this personal identifying information just to show you're old enough to have a drink. What if we could use the same technology that makes cryptocurrency work, so that they could verify this without needing to observe anything about you? And people are like, huh, That sounds pretty good. I'm a Republican, but that sounds pretty good. I'm a, whatever, but that sounds pretty good. I'm an astronaut. It doesn't matter. Everyone can hear that and nod their head. Yep. And then they will ask you a question about it. Wait, how does it work? How do you prove it? And then you can answer bit by bit. There is a time and place, Alex often says, for like the PhD level breakdown, and it takes time. But, that's what our expert guests and friends are for. We would say, if you're interested in this, we can bring Evan McMullen. We can bring to Woofy. Hirsch is coming. We're going to talk about how this works and what it's the state of it right now, how you could learn more about this and start exploring.
You have to set the stage for that conversation first, because I totally believe, and I would agree, that like we cannot have a technical conversation about how zero knowledge works without technical jargon and math and an understanding about why it does what it does, why it is secure, and all that sort of stuff. And that's how you have to have that conversation. But you don't just throw someone that answer when they're like, I wish that my information was more secure. It makes me uncomfortable to hand my full ID to a bouncer I've never met who now knows where I live and could follow me home. That kind of thing. Like, that's relatable. PhD stuff is not. But, there's a time and a place for all that sort of stuff.
But would you feel comfortable giving your secret phrases to a dolphin?
I have to say that my favorite comment that's come out of Will in that costume, it did mislabel him not as a dolphin, but as a piece of fruit. But he posted this video.
It's a blue banana.
He posted this video talking about something with no context as to the fact that he was dressed like that. And one of the comments was just like, why is a blue banana giving me financial advice? And that,
to which I corrected, sir, I'm a dolphin. Also, sorry for not being here on time, guys. I swear I didn't do it purposefully.
Oh, no.
He'd been planning that one. He was late just to use that, actually.
I was dolphinatively planning that. It's been a while since I've been able to annoy Alex with these. I know you guys got the whole backstory, but this is also very hot. So it was a pretty long but very fun 2 weeks where I was a dolphin on the internet talking about pretend internet money. So that was fun.
Well, and can I just say that Will usually shows up in an extremely professional manner. This is a picture we took with Hester Peirce, the commissioner. And my girlfriend observed we looked like Will's interns. So Suits and Satoshis is his handle for good reason, because he puts a suit on, he does him a favor, and he's got every costume, every single costume.
I do. Last Halloween, I put out 16 videos in the single day wearing a different costume, each one. It was great.
And something you should know about Will, and before he gets to introduce himself truly, is Will is also very smart, but very relatable and not afraid to be himself kind of person who a comment we get all the time is about our like chemistry together. And we're very painfully aware that we're like three, 30-year-old white guys who, we're one slice of life experience talking to you from 2025, but we cultivate the kind of energy together because we love each other. We love what we do, and love the people that want to learn about it. So I don't know, our listeners are young, they're old, they're from all over, and I don't know. Will brings a real flavor to the show that we absolutely couldn't pay somebody to replicate, who he is. And that's so valuable to people who are trying to learn through relationship. Someone they feel like they know, like trust.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate you. Thanks. And thanks for making that sound so normal until someone turns on their screen and sees that I'm a blue banana dolphin hybrid. But yeah, just like these guys, like I got in the crypto space in 2017. It was Ethereum that really got my attention. And then gaming, Web3 gaming really grabbed my attention. Then I started buying Bitcoin. I liquidated my 401k and bought Bitcoin when it was, about $6,800. And that's been going great. And then I started making content in 2020. Found these guys like 2 years ago, a year and a half ago or so. But outside of Web3, I sold AI machine learning software to major companies. And even today, I'm a supply chain consultant for some of the largest supply chain organizations in the world, which has been very busy lately with the trade wars going on. So it's been interesting, having this show where I love to talk about like macroeconomics and finance in a serious way, despite what I wear sometimes. Although it's usually a suit, I promise. But then at the same time, like I'm front line with Pepsi. I'm front lines with Estee Lauder. I'm front lines with General Mills and like some of the largest CPG manufacturing retail organizations in the world when it comes to like re-strategizing their entire global supply chain and how that's being shaped by markets. So it's fun being able to take both of these and combine it together. And there are so many different instances where I can take both experiences and combine them together. So it's really fun and interesting, and bouncing them off of Evan and Alex too, who, between myself with the macroeconomic, more trader investor side of things, with, both of them who do the same things, but definitely are more savvy with Web3 technology. It's a fun show. It's a little bit for everybody. And then if you like to be a total idiot like I do sometimes, there's a space for you.
I was going to say too, I thought you were going to introduce Macro Market, Market Watch.
Oh yeah. Well, I was talking about myself, but we just started last week, but tonight there'll be the second episode of Market Watch, where myself and Doug, also lovingly referred to as Von, we have a lot of inside jokes. We'll be doing a whole hour to 2 hours, depending on how the show goes, every single Monday on the major macro factors that are shaping the markets, from gold and the dollar to last week we were even talking about the cattle markets and how that was changing and affecting things. And then also immediately after that, diving into Fartcoin, So like we'll touch on anything and everything if we think there's any chance of it being an indicator in markets. And we'll do that for an hour to 2 hours every Monday night.
I feel like charting cows is going to be a staple of that show, because every time I've had a conversation with Doug about what he wants to get into, he has mentioned the fact that he'll even chart cows if I want to. And I'm beginning to be like, Doug, I think you just really want to chart and track the price of cow-related products and cows themselves, because it keeps coming up. And to know that the first episode involved charting cows definitely makes me think that it's going to be a staple.
Is there a bovine sort of like Bitcoin correlation here? Well, what's going? I'm also here to learn from you guys too.
Oh no!
Can we get let's be the example that we want to see in the world, and let's do a little plug for the show. What's happening outside of crypto Twitter? That's interesting.
Yeah. So,
and maybe it's bovine related.
So how we got to cattle markets was we were talking with the audience, and like, again, our audience, it's not just 20 and 30-year-olds. Like, we have a ton of people. It's almost half of our audience that's over the age of 40. And like, there's even, a couple people who are in their 80s, right? So we have a lot of people who are very familiar with traditional markets. So they want to learn about crypto markets and all these new coins and new technology. But when we get into a conversation talking about stocks or gold or, the Dixie chart, which is the US dollar in comparison to other currencies and other markets and commodities, people are very knowledgeable on it. So we started off talking about how the gold market just started to break a recent bearish trend. That was potentially us saying, hey, maybe smart money is aware of some negative news that might come up to July 9th, when the tariff deadline was ending, which would be a flight to safety. So, okay, if smart money is smarter than we are, they're in the know, maybe gold is a precursor of that. As such, we also took a look at the dollar, and the dollar was starting to weaken again, which would also be a potential precursor of bad news from a tariff standpoint. So we saw those two things. We were talking about how those are in relation to one another, and how in relation to crypto is if you're seeing a flight to safety and a reduction in the strength of the dollar at the same time, one of two things is going to happen to Bitcoin. And it's a little bit of a confusing time, because historically, you would say people are going to rush to safety. People don't view Bitcoin as a safe haven asset yet. But today, that branding is starting to shift. You're starting to see more people treat Bitcoin like digital gold, and you're seeing it take a little initial dip, but ultimately perform better than the stock market would in those types of moments. So we were talking about how we're at a really key time where Bitcoin's starting to change that brand. And then as we were having that conversation, some people were like, yo, check out the beef market. And we were like, wait, what? And so then we pulled up the beef chart and we were like, yo, we should have been long beef for the past 5 years, because the price of beef in the US has doubled in the past 5-6 years or so, which is also important when you're talking about macro, because that's one of the reasons why your McDonald's is more expensive. That's one of the reasons why families have less money at home to spend on investing in altcoins and in Bitcoin themselves, because more money is being taken up just putting food on the table, right? So these are all these markets are connected. And it's just kind of fun to talk about. And sometimes you don't know what to look at until someone's like, hey, man, I was going down a rabbit hole last night for 6 hours on charts. You got to check this shit out. And we're like, oh, my God.
I love it. Long Beef is actually my OnlyFans name, so I appreciate you giving me the shout out there. No, but on a more serious note, I think this gets at the crux of a lot of what I've been thinking about, and I know I've talked to Hirsch about this a lot too. I don't know if Hirsch, you have the same opinion, but like there's this sort of like odd bifurcation between like in what I will roughly call like intelligence and knowledge. And most of crypto Twitter seems to assume that people are idiots that have a ton of knowledge, which is actually the most inverse thing you could possibly want to do. Whether it's true or not, you never want to. I think it's wrong to treat people like idiots, and they also have to know everything, right? It's like, you're so dumb, you're going to fall for my scam, and you're going to fall for it because I'm going to throw all this fucking ZK nonsense at you, right? Whereas I feel like you guys actually do the inverse, where you treat people as they're intelligent, they're smart, they have questions, but let's not assume that they know everything yet. I don't know. Have you guys ever thought about this sort of framing before, or what's wrong with what's wrong with the internet today, as I like to call it?
People often say in our comments, "Thanks for dumbing it down for me." That's like a colloquialism our culture has. You know, we're always like shoulda, woulda, coulda, shooting on ourselves. And I always like to say, and we all say different versions of like, no. We're all elevating ourselves. Rise up. You know, we're raising collective knowledge together. And it's very much about assuming people are smart enough, can understand it, if you'll just meet them where they are.
A lot of, I think, something that contributes very heavily to this trust problem that Evan is talking about is this idea that in order for me to talk to you about blockchain and be looked at as like an authority figure or a thought leader or something in the space, it often seems to dictate that like I'm going to just bloviate constantly, which is insane because it immediately turns off anyone listening to like, you know, how genuine whatever you're sharing actually is. And so we say all the time, like someone will ask us a question about something like, dude, I don't know. If you ask me right now to explain how, you know, a private key is generated, like I can tell you generally like the process, but like, I don't know, dude. And I'm not going to pretend that I do, but I'll tell you what, I'm really good at figuring stuff out. So let's look it up together and figure it out. So it's more along the lines of, you know, how you talk about what you do and don't know, being willing to admit that you don't know something, refusing to let anyone chastise themselves for not knowing this thing about a brand new piece of technology that's barely been, the beta is barely out yet. It's actually one of the reasons that like a great comparison would be trying to get like business or entrepreneurship advice from Grant Cardone versus Stephen Bartlett. Where if I'm listening to Grant Cardone, I get this vibe that this douchebag who doesn't care about me is trying to make himself look like a genius by telling me things in a way that makes me feel bad and stupid for not being on his level, versus listening to an episode of Behind the Diary with Stephen Bartlett, who is showing you all the stuff that he messed up this week in his quest to become better and make the show better, making me feel like I'm learning with him instead of I'm privileged enough to listen to you speak at me, my little peasant ears, from Grant Cardone. And so I try to be the Stephen Bartlett. Like that's my inspiration for how you present complicated things to people, especially when they're like, I'm too stupid to figure this out. Is like, no, you're really not. It's just brand new and nobody has ever talked about it before.
And the thing that I'll add on to that too is I've been saying this for years, and Evan and Alex were the exact same mindset, which is none of us want to tell anybody what to buy. Neither do we want to tell anybody what chain you have to use. Or, you know, you don't need to be a maxi of anything. If you want to be a maxi, that's fine too. The only thing that we want for our viewers in our community is for you to be your own self-sufficient trader, investor, and, you know, Web3 operator, if you will. And that's all we want. We want you to be able to make your own decisions for yourself. Just take the knowledge that we're here for to give you, and then we're here to be your friends and help guide you when and where you need us. That's it.
Even if you lived in a world where the only reason you wanted to tell someone anything was to sell them something, we should know that informed and educated consumers make better, more long-term and more impactful decisions with stuff that they buy and services that they pay for and things that they pay attention to. And if you are just constantly, for no reason other than the fact that it's hot right now, trying to peddle garbage to people, then you can't be surprised when some single piece of misinformation comes out that completely tanks your entire reputation and pushes everyone to a new product or service that maybe isn't even better, or maybe it's worse only because we never took the time to let anyone figure out like why any of this stuff matters in the first place. And I think the best example of that would be Ledger, with the aftermath of Ledger Recover as a service being updated or released. And now again with the software support for the Nano S being discontinued. Two things that like every other company in every other industry has always done. Discontinue service for outdated products that don't hold up anymore, that aren't good enough, that needed to have significant improvements made upon, and a new service that you can opt into if you want, or skip if you don't want. Like super basic, very vanilla, but nobody understood what the backdoor idea was. No one understood how their information was secured on the ledger in the first place. Nobody understands that their wallet's not being deleted now that the Nano S is not going to be supported anymore. And they're making all these crazy new decisions to like completely leave Ledger as a company that they pay for stuff and go to a different one that may be fundamentally worse or maybe better. We don't know because we never took the time to figure it out in the first place. And all of that just kind of snowballs into worse and worse and worse and worse markets to try to build a business in and market anything because no one has any clue what language you're even speaking. And it's just like these problems beget other problems, beget other problems. And it all just comes down to how we talked about it in the first place.
You know, there's a really common scam happening right now, too, on TikTok especially. I'm seeing people, impersonators, bots, talking to people in comments saying, did you know your ledger isn't safe? You need to upgrade to the Quantum Ledger or the this or the that or the use this website, Web3 Connect. I can't tell you how many comments I get every single day. Is my Ledger Nano safe? Is Web3 Connect what I need to, you know what I mean? Like, it's pervasive. People don't know who to trust. And honestly, the platforms don't help. But, you know, it's I don't know. What I was going to say before, I have a question for you guys. But first, I want to say on the nature of like our content, you know, the yield farming stuff, the Yap farming, the Kaito, I think you're great. This is not personal, but like it's masturbatory. When somebody on Twitter is like going to write a post where they're like, you know, happy 4th of July, everybody, Kaito, or whatever the project is that they're trying to farm Yaps for. Like that doesn't help anybody anywhere. And I want to know the other thing I think is unhelpful, not to give it away or judge you, but do you guys use the word normies?
I don't think we do at all. We definitely, well, you know, this is what we've done. We've hired a new growth lead, and I went out of my way to find someone who, what I describe, keeps us in check. This is the way I like to do it. We've gone through, even very recently, we're coming up with some marketing collateral that I put together with our sales lead, had Hirsch look over it, and then we sent it over to her for review. And she told us, this is insane. I would never read this. We took her from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and we're like, would you show this to, you know, the guy who runs sponsorships for the stadium? She goes, not in a million years would I show ZK TLS economic security. And I'm like, man, like I'm even trying to do it and I'm failing because it's the world we live in, right? It's like, it's just sort of zinging through my head all the time. I don't Hirsch, I don't know. I think you really call anyone a normie, do you?
No. The way I look at it is like what people refer to as normies is the 9 out of 10 people that have yet to be onboarded into crypto. And that's really where I spend a lot of my time focusing on. And that's where a lot of the upside is going to be, especially at this point in crypto. I might jokingly refer to normies like just in a shit post on the internet. But in terms of how I look at it, it's just the true crypto people is like the first one out of every 10. And then the 9 out of 10 that have yet to be onboarded, that's what we really should be focusing on.
Is that a leading question though, Evan?
No, that's I think it is kind of leading. I think one of the most common, if somebody was like, okay, what could I do? I want to do one thing, super low effort that's going to optimize my life. If you use the word normie or otherizing language that frames the conversation as us and them, an in-group and an out-group, I would just encourage you to notice it and stop using it because it's alienating. It's otherizing. You may not mean anything by it, but people often, it's not an accurate message because they often misinterpret that as, oh, this space isn't for me. And I think we would all agree, like you say, I call them the many who've yet to join us. They are the big audience. They are the people who will use this every day and they need to feel welcome. And so I say things like that, like everyday people. I try to use examples where I can, but I think our language and how we have the conversation, that's how we tell a better story. Framing is so important. Everybody can work on that, you know.
We are running up on time, but I wanted to have one very tactical thing, both selfishly because I want Hirsch doing TikTok dances with me. He's very much enjoyed sending my TikTok dances around the the group chats, but I do feel like there's an impetus here for people to like start now. You guys have been at it for a while. I totally get that it's scary, but would love to hear from you guys. It's like you've gone through your individual journeys. Let's do another version of Hirsch's question from the CMO, but at this time the CMO comes to you and says, I think I need to be on TikTok, or I think I need to be on Instagram. How do I start? What do I do? And this is also, like I said, selfishly advice that I want Hirsch to take directly, so we get him on there.
Well, first you got to hang out with us more. It's our mission, really to create a platform where all you got to do is show up and talk and spend time like on a great front porch, letting people get to know you, like you, trust you. And we said this before we started rolling, you need repetitions. We have been making content, mostly video native, for years, all of us now. And I was saying before the call, my first career, I was an actor. From a very young age, I was trained at speaking to people and also through the medium of a camera as if, I am talking just to them. And I'm comfortable with it. We all have done this, for a while. So you've got to get repetitions in. I saw a founder who was trying some founder-led video marketing. He creates on Twitter, has a big audience, is very comfortable there. Even in spaces, he's very comfortable, has a great personality, resonates with people. He is so nervous, he has said, about sharing his journey that way on video, but he's doing it. He's showing up. That's the only way you're going to get better at it. Or you could outsource it to someone like us, honestly. We partner with brands to do that because we recognize we are in kind of a deep blue ocean in terms of the head start we have. And frankly, people trust us. They don't trust you. I routinely comment on Coinbase, on Uniswap, any brand, no shade to them. I love them both. But some of their content is just, and it's not as bad as Crypto.com.
I was just about to say, I was like, compared to Crypto.com, they are.
But they trust us. They don't know you. You're in our house. Like, we've built the relationships with these people, and we want you to be here. But show some respect. Learn the language. I don't know. It's what would you guys add? Go ahead.
It's experimenting. If you take any established creator, especially someone who has done short form or long form video specifically, and ask them how excited they would be to go back and rewatch the first 100 videos that they posted. Show me the one who's like, oh, dude, I can't wait. Who says anything other than like, only to see how bad it was and how far I've come. Because I do that too. But you just have to come to peace with the fact that the first couple things you post are going to be awful and no one's going to watch them. But you have to do it that way because that's the only way that you learn. You make a video, it doesn't do well. Improve one thing, make another video. It does marginally better. You're heading in the right direction. It does worse. You tweak the wrong thing. Go back. Like, it's just over and over and over again. It's insane to think you're going to post one thing and just be a sensation. And that happens 1 every 10 million times, and it's possible, but it's largely luck. So just do it over and over again. Because like to Evan's point, before I started this, I'm so comfortable public speaking. You could put me right now with no preparation in front of a room of 20,000 people and say, give a lecture on something you barely understand, and I'll bullshit my way through it and I would be fine. But my first video was super awkward and it was really weird filming myself. And it was very strange to like talk to nobody because I didn't have another person or a group of people there that I was addressing. And it felt strange. And my voice was wrong. Like the inflection was all off. The intonation was so weird. And like, that's then what I start, my eyes went to the wrong place, like all these little things that, you kind of get better at. And now I don't even think about it. Now I could film a 45-minute long diatribe just talking about whatever and not even think about it. It'd be the most casual thing ever. But it took me years and years and thousands of repetitions before I got to that point, even though I had been public speaking, presenting, teaching, whatever, for more than a decade before I filmed my first thing.
And the flubs, they're on the soundboard in the studio, so they turned out good in the end.
And I already know, every time I say something terrible, Evan's going to clip it and put it on the soundboard and play it 10,000 times.
And then the community loves it and, built up the community. And it's great. But, today, for your question where it's like, hey, if a CMO came up to you, Hirsch, you came up to me and you're like, hey, I'm thinking about getting on TikTok. My first thing is, okay, why? In the crypto space, that goes in one of two directions right now. It goes, I want people to buy my coin. And I go, cool, set aside a budget of about 200 grand. Pay a bunch of KOLs to talk about it one time, maybe 2 times. The price of your token will go up and then it will fall down. And then, maybe you set aside a marketing budget again to keep that going. And maybe that's all you want to do. And that's been the historical answer. The other one, and that's becoming a little bit more common, is, well, I want us to have better more positive brand recognition amongst people. I want to convert more people to using our product. I want more people to know about what we do and start talking about that in a more meaningful and long-term engagement kind of way. And for like the past year, that answer has been coming up a little bit more frequently and a little bit more frequently. And people are starting to get out of Twitter and they're starting to go to Instagram, starting to go to TikTok, starting to go to YouTube if they weren't already. And when you do that, you know, you need to build a relationship with people. It can take time. Just as Alex said, you're not going to, odds of you having a video pop off and go super viral and immediately you have at least 10,000 followers, super, super low. Took me 4 years to build an account with 70,000 followers, just myself, and a lot of painful lessons along the way. And one of the super helpful things is getting locked into communities of trust already, being brought in with trust, and having your floor of engagement just start to increase a little bit faster than if you were starting out on your own. And then you start building a relationship with people, and the name starts to spread. But that's that. That's all I had to add.
I was really hoping you were just going to say buy a costume, but
I mean, I'm not. As someone
just
who is,
mic drop after that.
as someone who has had to actually, great proof point here, which I thought about last week, is I had to restart a TikTok page because my current TikTok is broken and TikTok's trying to fix it. So I had to restart, right? Yada, yada, yada. Costume here, new brand, suits and Satoshis. Anyway, what I wanted to say is having the costume initially was phenomenal. There's a thing on TikTok called 300 view jail, where everyone is like stuck at 300 views on their videos because they haven't figured out the hook. They haven't figured out what to bring to the market to, be worthy of getting attention and things like that. But having the costume immediately out the gate, the first video was like, oh, would you like 17,000 views? Would you like 5,000, 8,000, 25,000 views? Because people were just like, what the fuck? And just like leaving comments and resharing and stuff. It was wonderful. But then at the same time, also, having the Rise Up community was also great because I was just like, hey, everybody, I'm over here. And then it was just, a few thousand people hopped over pretty quick and all were commenting and were very confused. And then, on board, it was great. It was fun.
I think I'm sold. I'm going to start a TikTok show as a Roman Centurion. We're going to cross this fucking Rubicon. Let's go.
Dude, I think you should. I love the AI generated content, like historical stuff that's realistic. You could impose your faces on it and do all kinds of stuff. I think there's a huge market for that
Go
right
on
now. It's
Etsy.
so fun.
Trust me, I already have something bookmarked. I'll send it to you right now on Etsy.
Please
Roman
do.
Centurion armor. It's great.
I think Hirsch has the helmet already.
Ooh,
so
nice.
we've been
Oh
trying to
my
get that
gosh.
out of him. So I'm actually disappointed in myself that I didn't request him to wear it for this. But
It fucks up the audio because it's like a full face thing.
You can bring it when you come on our show, and we can give you a moment to show it off or send us a picture or something
Sounds
because we
good.
need to see it.
But just for my own journey here, I think, especially as a founder, it's kind of like bred into me to basically just talk about opacity whenever I get the opportunity. But I feel like having an authentic relationship with an audience, you can't just like be shielding your like what you're working on all the time. You have to talk about a more diverse area of, or have a diversity of topics you talk about. How would you recommend like the ratio there?
Well, something I think you should include is not just be like, hey, this is opacity, this is what we do, this is why it's beneficial, but then also like talk about yourself. Because people don't just want to follow a brand unless they already love it. They're going to follow you if they love and like you. And so they need to know more about you. So when you're talking about opacity on TikTok, you should also be talking about yourself and your journey and your experience and what makes you unique and interesting and worthy to give my time to view and engage with and consume your content just as much as, the brand and the product and what you're doing for the world and the space and all that kind of stuff. So I would say look at it more so 50-50 of this is who I am and, vibe with me or not, whatever, there's also this brand to this and you can vibe with that as well. Hopefully both, that's what I'd say. Do a mix of both.
Yeah, definitely too, in the beginning, I don't want to hear anything about your company or your brand or your product. I don't care. I want to get to know you and I want to know what you're going to do for me, because the ask that we're making of everyone with every video that we post is give me some of your time, which is like the one resource that you have a finite amount of that you cannot replace with anything. And so I take it really seriously when I'm asking you for your time to sit down and watch me do something. And if I'm just going to give you a commercial with no context for something that you don't even know that is a problem for you, why would you watch that? You know? So like there's an example, there's a creator on TikTok, her name is Paisley. She owns a company called Peach Honey, and you would barely know it. Like she almost never talks about her company, and she has 300,000 some odd followers, and she's super personal. And I think she runs like a master class every time she posts anything, just in like founder led marketing, because she's so unapologetically herself. She's very charismatic, but you can tell that she probably did that over years of like building the skill of talking to you and like building up trust with people and, you know, a reputation, all this kind of stuff. So then when she does talk about her company, it almost doesn't even matter what she does, because people love her so much that they cannot wait to support her because of the relationship that they've built with her. And there are so many things, like actually one of the most common ways that she does talk about her company is problems with it. Like, oh God, I messed up the last order. Like it didn't go out properly and everyone's stuff is delayed and it was really bad and I'm so embarrassed and I'm really losing sleep over it. And then all the comments are so encouraging because she's like just full frontal with everyone about the problems behind the scenes with running a business as a solo entrepreneur and that difficulty. So I always tell people, like, if you're going to come on and you are going to talk to me about your company, tell me the thing that is like keeping you up at night, that is a problem that you're really trying to solve, because I bet you someone else who might stumble across that video has a similar problem or can at least relate to the fact that you are like putting it all out there and being more, you know, transparent and authentic about what it is that you do and why it's important. And then let someone ask you the question, like, what does your company do? Reply to that question with a video that answers it for that one person. They feel like, wow, you took the time to like talk to me directly and answer this question I had. Now you also get to make a commercial for your company and your product or whatever it is. And you still get to be like a personable human being who's answering a more direct question. It makes it easier for you to like relate and talk and post and create the content too. So yeah, just show up and do what feels right, and just don't inundate people with commercials. You know, they want to be connected with, not advertised to.
I think the thing I messed up is we needed someone with like access to an OnlyFans account at some point, and so David onboarded, but now he's like famous, and we spread his attention too thin.
Yeah, long beef.
Long beef.
Long beef, yeah.
That's right.
I don't know if there's a better way to go out. I want to be really cognizant of everyone's time. I will obviously encourage everyone to go check you guys out. I'll give you guys time to drop your handles and stuff. We'll sure to put that on the notes. But from my side, thank you so much for the time. I hope people out there get involved. I hope people watch the show. I hope maybe someone was inspired to be a little bit better of a founder-led marketer. I hope that person is Hirsch.
No, I learned it actually. This has been really helpful to me. So just hearing you guys' perspective, I think you just helped me avoid a lot of mistakes and being cringe on this journey. But I think a lot of other founders in the space should learn from you guys. Actually, super helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. Call us anytime. We're here to support you. And
And
we're going to check in on your content.
Yeah, I love it. Hold them accountable. Evan, sign offs. Where do people find you? What should they do?
You can find all the shows, all of our links, and so much more at theriseupmorningshow.com. All of our socials, all of our live shows, recordings on your favorite podcast, links to the Discord, tutorials to get there. The only thing missing, I often say, is you.
Alex, anything to add?
No, just again, thank you guys for hosting us, in the spirit of thanking people for their time and being appreciative. I appreciate you guys lending us the use of your platform to come on and talk about stuff that we care about. I love doing stuff like this, so this was a lot of fun. On TikTok, I'm alex.facelesslabs, as it sounds, no funny letters or nothing. And then I'm everywhere else with different handles. It's all terrible, and I'm self-conscious about the fact that my handle is like different stuff on every platform, so don't even bother.
You can get them at the show website. We got the
On the
links.
show
there.
website.
Get them at the show website. Yeah, let's push everyone. Will.
Yeah, you can find it all at theriseupmorningshow.com, but my TikTok account that was formerly dolphin_coin_guide is now suits_and_satoshis. Suits and Satoshis.
And I'm Conversations with Evan, if you want to know.
Yeah,
Find me on
if you just
TikTok.
want to go straight on TikTok.
We all have a bunch of impersonators. We need to say this. A bunch of impersonators. We will never reach out to you personally, directly to sell you anything, offer to talk to you. You got to talk to us through all those ways. We're friendly. We're here for you. But there are a lot of people who will try and leverage the trust we have built to take your money, scam you, whatever. Block them. It's the platforms. I'm so sorry. It's not very helpful. But stay safe
however,
out
if
there.
anybody does just want to send me Bitcoin, I'll give you a wallet address.
Yeah.
I'll give you
Can
one.
send us Bitcoin. Yeah, and if there are companies out there who want to be telling a better story to everyday people about crypto and leverage the trust that we have built for good, then call us, get at us, send us a message through their website, and let's talk about what you're building on the show. If you need help telling a better story, we can help you. You know, we will do like Hirsch and we'll send you a DM and be like, hey, where's that video? Or come on the platform. You know, we're trying to build a closer relationship with these guys because they're building real stuff. We want to talk to you too. So come help us tell a better story.
Yeah, it's unfortunate you guys are so responsive because normally I can tell if it's a scam or not. Oh, they responded. It's definitely a scam. But unfortunately, you guys are helpful and responsive, so I can't use that filter. All of you guys, thank you so much for coming on. This was the Rubicon. See you guys later.